Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cracking open a truly fascinating piece of history. It's a 2,400-year-old dialogue written by the ancient Greek soldier and philosopher Xenophon. It's called the Economist, or Oeconomicus, and it promises this highly structured, brilliantly logical look into ancient wisdom on household and the state management. Now, don't let the sheer age of this text fool you. The psychology of wealth, order, and leadership packed into these ancient conversations is incredibly applicable today. So get ready, because we're going to take a structured look right into the ancient playbook for success.
To hook us right from the start, Xenophon drops us into a conversation between the great philosopher Socrates and a wealthy high society gentleman named Critobulus. And Socrates poses a fascinating paradox to him. He essentially asks, can a man with 100 times less money actually be richer than a millionaire? It sounds impossible, right? But Socratic questioning always has a way of turning our assumptions entirely upside down.
Socrates points out the stark reality of their two completely different lives. Critobulus has vast, unimaginable wealth, but he is constantly stressed out. He's absolutely burdened by forced contributions to the state, the social requirement to host expensive foreign guests, the need to fund military endeavors, and honestly, the poor management of his own estate. His money is just draining away. Meanwhile, Socrates owns almost nothing, just 5 minae, which is a tiny, tiny sum. But his few possessions perfectly and completely meet all of his daily needs. He has absolutely no deficit. So Socrates argues that, despite the actual numbers in their bank accounts, he is the one who is truly wealthy, and Critobulus is the one living in poverty.
So here is the crucial point of how the ancient Greeks actually defined wealth in this dialogue. According to Socrates, a possession is only considered wealth if the owner actually knows how to use it to their benefit and advantage. If you have something that brings you harm, or if you simply don't know how to extract any value from it, it's not wealth at all. It's literally just a burden.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break down the brilliance of this ancient text into 5 distinct lessons. First, defining true wealth. Second, the power of order. Third, the queen bee. Fourth, the noblest profession, and finally, the art of leadership.
Let's start with our first thematic pillar, defining true wealth and the Socrates paradox.
To prove his point, Socrates gives Critobulus some highly specific, practical examples. Think about these for a second. If you buy a magnificent horse, but you don't know how to ride, and it throws you and breaks your arm, is that horse wealth? No, it's an injury. What about land that you farm so poorly that it literally bankrupts you? Or a flock of sheep that die off because you don't know how to shepherd them? Definitely not wealth. Actually, my favorite example here is the flute. A finely crafted flute is a beautiful possession, but to a person who has absolutely no idea how to play music, it's no more valuable than a piece of wood. It only becomes wealth if you know how to play it, or, as Socrates cleverly points out, if you're smart enough to sell it to someone who does.
That brings us perfectly to the second pillar, the power of order and escaping chaos.
To explain this, Socrates recounts a conversation with a model gentleman named Icomachus, who compared managing a household to managing an army. Think about the utter chaos of an army without order. A mingled mob of infantry and baggage bearers all tripping over each other. They're just easy prey for the enemy. In a household, that same chaos is throwing your wheat, barley, and tools all into the exact same corner. You can't find anything when you actually need it. But an organized army? That is a terrifying, beautiful sight. Serried masses moving onward in quiet, unstoppable progress. In the home, that kind of order means everything is assigned an appropriate, fixed place. The arrangement itself creates actual value.
To really drive this home, Oeconomicus shares this incredibly vivid ancient analogy. He talks about going as a sightseer on board a massive Phoenician merchant ship, and he was absolutely astounded by how an endless quantity of goods, weapons, rigging, and cargo were separately packed and stowed away into the smallest possible space. The pilot's mate knew exactly where every single rope and sail was located, even in the middle of a terrifying storm. This right here is the ultimate goal of household management, meticulous organization that allows a massive amount of cargo to be accessed the very instant it's needed.
Let's move to our third pillar and see how this builds into the queen bee and the ancient household.
Now, Xenophon's text lays out a very strict division of labor based on what the ancient Greeks firmly believed was a natural design. For them, the man's role was strictly the outdoor work, enduring the harsh heat and winter cold, breaking the unplowed land, planting the crops, and, of course, violently defending the estate from enemies. The woman's role, on the other hand, was the entire indoor economy. The wife was tasked with guarding the stores, nursing infants, overseeing the highly complex process of weaving, and managing the domestic servants. In this historical Greek view, the man imported the wealth from the fields, but it was the woman who protected and distributed it, preventing it from just draining away.
To explain how vital this is, Oeconomist uses a rather beautiful analogy with his own young wife. He calls her the queen bee of the household. Just as the queen bee stays in the hive and dispatches the worker bees, the wife remains indoors, dispatching the servants to their various tasks. She receives everything brought in from the fields, stores it securely, doles it out carefully so a year's supply isn't wasted in a single month, and presides over the beautiful fabric of the household's indoor economy. Without her vital leadership right at the center of the hive, the wealth gathered outside would simply disappear.
This takes us outside the home to our fourth pillar, the noblest profession, agriculture.
Now, what's really interesting here is that in Xenophon's text, farming is absolutely not viewed as dirty manual labor. It is revered. It's seen as the foundational pursuit of a true gentleman and a free citizen. It was even called the mother and nurse of all other arts. Because think about it, if farming stops, society completely collapses. It's also praised as the easiest art to learn simply by observation. But most importantly, it's framed as the ultimate training ground for both the body and character. Enduring the elements builds physical hardihood. Seeing the earth richly reward hard work teaches a deep, tangible sense of justice. And trudging through those muddy fields, well, that prepares a citizen perfectly for the grueling physical demands of military marching and war.
To prove just how noble agriculture is, the dialogue tells this amazing anecdote about Cyrus the Great, the mighty king of Persia. A Greek commander named Lysander visited Cyrus and was marveling at the king's perfectly measured, beautiful paradise gardens. Lysander kept praising the architect, but Cyrus shocked him by revealing that he, the king of the Persian Empire, had actually mapped it out and planted many of those trees with his own hands. Cyrus declared that he never sat down to dinner without first sweating through the exercises of war or the hard labor of husbandry. It's a powerful point. Even the greatest king on earth found his nobility right there in the soil.
And finally, we reach our fifth pillar, the art of leadership and managing people.
So, a gentleman like Icomachus obviously can't run a massive farming estate entirely by himself. He has to scale his principles by training farm managers to act as his alter ego when he isn't there. And to do this, Icomachus lays out an absolute masterclass on ancient leadership using a four-step process. First, you have to secure their goodwill. If they don't like you, they simply won't help you, so you must treat them kindly. Second, you teach carefulness. You do this by praising the diligent and harshly reprimanding the lazy. Third, you grant them the capability to rule others. You achieve this by giving the most ambitious workers better clothes and gear, making them an example. And fourth, you instill justice. You literally most prove to them that honest managers actually grow wealthier and are honored far more than thieves.
But even with the absolute best managers in the world, Icomachus reveals the ultimate secret to estate management. He builds up to this with a famous rhetorical question from the ancient world. A king asks a renowned horse expert, what gives a horse flesh most quickly? Meaning, what is the single fastest way to fatten and improve a horse?
The answer? The master's eye. I mean, what a phenomenal punchline. Icomachus explains that no system, no matter how well organized, works without the direct attention, supervision, and physical presence of the leader. You simply cannot completely outsource your responsibility. The master's eye is the magic ingredient that calls forth the latent qualities in workers and turns them into beautiful and good results.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today, from the Socratic definition of wealth, to the rigorous order of that Phoenician ship, to the queen bee, the nobility of agriculture, and finally the sheer power of the master's eye. So, I want to wrap up this explainer by turning that Socratic mirror directly back onto you. Think about your life, your home, your skills. If true wealth is simply having what you know how to use well, how wealthy is your estate today? It's a provocative thought, isn't it? Thank you so much for exploring Xenophon's Economist with me. Stay focused, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.